Okay, we're back in our program on Inside Bicol, and our guest for tonight is Congressman Teddy Baguila. Congressman, I know that you're part also of the some of the initiatives taken with regards to the mining industry. Okay, now, what are some of the provisions there that would protect the interest of the IP? Because we know that there are a lot of places where mining is being undertaken, and most of the time this is in the place where the IPs are located.
Yes.
So what are some of the provisions there, or let's say some measures which would protect, and how do you have some shall we say balancing, because you also know that the mining industry also will help a lot the economy, but on the other hand we need to protect the interest of the IP. So how do you find the balance here as far as that issue is concerned?
It's quite challenging because under the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act, IPRA, the decision to allow mining or any other development project into the ancestral lands lies in the hands of the IPs. Ngunit karamihan sa kanila, hindi nila alam kung, o hindi nila naiintindihan yung pros and cons of the development venture. The NCIP, under the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act, is supposed to ensure that there is free, prior, and informed consent consultations before any extractive industry comes in. Sa ngayon, yun ang aming, as part of our oversight task, yun ang aming sinisigurado that in all mining ventures, because of the 1,000 plus applications of mining in the Philippines, 70% are in ancestral domain. So kailangan magkaroon talaga ng consultations, and then that's where we try to encourage the mining companies, not just so the bad side, but also the Mines and Geosciences Bureau and the various civil society organizations to tell the IPs that this is what's good for mining, this is what we're going to gain from mining, and this is also the environmental impacts, not just the environmental impacts but the impacts sa inyong lipunan. And after that, we ensure that they decide as a community. Sa kanila na yung pagpapasya. If they accept mining, okay. Because in the free, prior, and informed consent consultations, meron yung mga conditions. What do you want as a community? One of the conditions maybe is, we want a royalty. Under the law, the minimum is 1%, but the IPs can negotiate for a higher percentage of the royalties. Or they can say that gusto namin magkaroon ng reforestation project here, because and another condition that they can put is that there should be rehabilitation of our agricultural lands, just in case some toxic materials pollute our rivers and our rice fields. So yun ang kailangan naming i-capacitate sa mga indigenous peoples para dun sa negosasyon, kung sakasakaling they accept mining because it's going to give them some economic benefits, alam rin naman nila yung mga ibang conditions na sisingilin nila dun sa mining.
Can they put that as a condition?
Yes.
There are cases it's the province who gives the mining. You have the small scale mining operation.
Yes.
So my question is that can the IP give that as a condition to the province?
Yes. Because in this case, if it's the provincial government wanting to establish a quarry site in that area, ang investor mo is the provincial government. So before they can start a quarry site, then they have to undergo the FPIC
process.
Yes.
So it doesn't follow that since it's a project of the province will immediately, they have also to go to the process.
Yes.
What about in terms of, let's say, a certain percentage going to the IP? It's a government project, a provincial government project. Can they still claim for the 1% as far as the IP is concerned?
Yes. It could be part of because the minimum is just 1%. There's no stipulation in the mining law that if it's a government venture, they are spared from the 1% minimum royalty. Ang sinasabi nga nila is that's just the minimum, but
they can always increase.
They can only increase.
Okay. Now, they say that the 1% goes to the community is that separate from the one that will go to the IP, or you're referring to the community? You know, there are certain cases that the IP is just part of the community. So the 1% bandwidth.
That's for the IPs.
That's for the IPs.
Yes, yes.
So
Especially if the area that will be affected by the mining or quarrying is within the ancestral domain or the ancestral land. It's different when you talk about the revenues that the barangay or the municipality or the province will collect. Iba pa yun. No?
iba pa yan.
This is just the royalty to the host community, and in this case, the host community is the indigenous peoples. No? Kasi ancestral land nila.
Ancestral land. Oh, how does one know that it is part of the ancestral land? Where do they get that information? Who says that that is an ancestral land?
That's always a controversy. No? It's more difficult maybe here in Camarines Sur, no? But in areas like the Cordilleras, where it's already an established fact that that's ancestral lands of the Ifugaos, the Igorots, no? Or dun sa Mindanao, and the Monobos, they have their own ancestral lands. But here in Kamsur and mostly areas na inhabited by the Agtas and Dumagas, because they are nomads.
So
They
keep
go
on
around,
moving.
they go on moving, and
Oh.
so yung kanilang dating ninunong lupa na malawak, it has become more or less, they have been marginalized into the fringes. No?
Okay.
But under the law, technically, it's the National Commission for Indigenous Peoples that has to ensure na, DNR, you have to realize that there are IPs in that mountain, and so pagpapasok kayo dyan, you have to undergo the FPIC. No? And it becomes even more legalistic when they have issued a certificate of ancestral domain title. Kung ito na natituluhan under the tribe. No?
Okay.
We have actually a lot of tribes in the Philippines who have been awarded the certificates of ancestral domain. No? Dito sa Kamsur, hindi pa nila alam itong programa. That's why the Agtas there are now only discovering na pwede pala kami magpa-title ng aming
How
ancestral
does
domain.
that go? What is the process?
There's a validation.
Validation,
Because
okay.
the NCIP should go there and say, yeah, these are original tribes. Because iba yung yung indigenous to that area, iba naman yung mga dayuhan na galing sa ibang lugar. So the claim kasi na ancestral domain is it is within your possession or inhabited since time immemorial. Now legally, time immemorial is 30 years since the time that the law was enacted in 1997. No? So they have to validate it, and then they have to assess whether it's really an ethnic tribe. No? Do they have their own legends? Meron ba silang sariling wika? Sino ba yung mga leaders nila? Ganyan. And then after they have ascertained that, that's when the tribal federation or organization is applies, no,
Okay.
for ancestral domain titling. No? And so now it's the NCAP's they allot a budget for the survey, technical survey, and then kung may mga problema sa mga boundaries, that's when you have the dialogue and the consultations, no, with people who are in conflict to that application.
Okay. Now, if they have that title, can they divide it among themselves? Let's say, or it's just part of the community when you have that, the title for the tribal community.
No, you can't.
You
No?
can't.
If it's an ancestral domain title, it's a collective title. Ito po ay pag-aari ng buong.
So hindi pwede ibenta.
Hindi po pwedeng
Pati-hatiin
ibenta.
ng mga.
Yun, bawal pa yun. No?
Bawal yun.
Meron pa yung isang klase uri ng title, is CALT, or Certificate of Ancestral Land Titles. Ito ay naman ay parang individual, no? So the family, let's say the Bagilat family, we can apply for ancestral land titling sa aming lugar, no? But the Kiangan people or the Kiangan tribe will apply for ancestral domain title.
Ancestral domain.
Ito yung hindi mo pwedeng ibenta.
Okay. What is the percentage, Congressman, right now of the IP as far as the national IP? Is that still a big?
Well, estimates, no? Because there's no actual number,
Right.
no? Well, walang census. But I was surprised that the United Nations puts the number of IPs at 14 to 17 million pesos. No?
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's about 15%. No?
15% population. There's still a lot of that in Mindanao, the area.
Most of them are actually in Mindanao. I thought that kami yung pinakamarami sa Cordillera, but actually the Manobos number around 1.5 million, and then you have the Subanens, I think the second largest at 1.2 million. And then the Agtas, these are the bigger groups, and of course the Cordilleras, the Fugaos, the Igorots, the Kalingas.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll be discussing other issues. I know that the congressman is also involved with some of the civil society programs like Kaya Natin. So siguro usapan din natin. So we'll pause for a while.